Well, welcome everyone. It's great to see you. Welcome to Durham and welcome to the Department of Theology and Religion. My name is Matthew Guest. I'm the head of department here, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to this open day. I know you've come from far and wide, and we appreciate your efforts to come and see what we do, and I hope you have a lovely day, both enjoying learning about what the university offers, but also seeing Durham itself, which of course is a beautiful city, and we do hope you'll come and stay with us for your 3 years as students here. We've got a little time today to introduce you to what we do in theology and religion, and I'm going to talk for a little while about the department and the degrees that we offer, and then I'll hand over to my colleague Douglas Davies, who's going to give us a mini lecture. We really want to give you a taste of the kind of stuff that we do, what it's like to be in a classroom with one of our professors learning about theology and religion along the lines that we teach in the undergraduate programme. So we'll give you that as a taster session, and after that one of our existing students, Taya, is going to speak to you, and she can speak from the heart, from her own experience about what it's like being a student here in Durham doing theology and religion. And there'll be plenty of time for you to ask any questions, so do please take the opportunity to do so. Plus, at the end, if you have anything you want to explore with us, anything you want to talk through, there'll be staff members here who can talk with you. So, this is where we are. Not a bad place to be. This is Abbey House, stuck in the corner there, which is the home of the Department of Theology and Religion. It's that 3-storey Georgian building in the corner of this expanse here, which is Powers Green, right next to the cathedral, Durham Cathedral. And then we're in this building here. This is the Pemberton Rooms. And there's one lecture room here and one next door. And so we're very fortunate. We work on a World Heritage Site. We come to work every day and have this as our view, so we can't complain on that front. And we are one of the most fortunate corners of the university in that respect, because we get to occupy a space of great beauty and also, of course, of great religious significance, which is a constant, imposing reminder to us of the importance of the stuff that we try and do. Now, why study theology and religion? I did theology as an undergraduate many years ago, and I was often asked, including by some rather disgruntled drunk men on a train once, why on earth I would study this subject. And sometimes it's hard to answer that, because you might think, well, it's my choice, none of your business what I do. But of course these questions recur, and in subjects in the humanities, there's often this perception that if you choose this kind of subject, well, it's pointless. What are you going to do with it? What kind of jobs are you going to get? What kind of purpose will it serve in life? Well, we're here to tell you that that's a load of nonsense. And what we like to do is to emphasise the importance of the subject, both in terms of forming individual people in terms of their thinking and their citizenship, but also in preparing them, actually, to be responsible, professional employees in the workplace going forward as well. And we're very fortunate in having a whole range of alumni, people who used to study with us, who've gone on to do some really fascinating things, drawing on the skills that they've developed here, and making the most of their degree. So don't let anyone tell you that a degree in theology and religion will not lead you to fascinating and rewarding employment, because it does. But first and foremost, we're curious about the big questions of life. How do we make sense of everything? What is good? What is true? What is real? What is not real? And one of the great advantages of doing this subject is you get to draw on a variety of different disciplines and exploring those questions. So you may come here with very specific interests. You may have a very specific interest in, for example, traditional Christian theology or in the Bible, or you may be interested in religion as a contemporary social reality. You may be interested in ethical questions. You may be interested in textual interpretation. We can explore all of these things and draw on a variety of different methods in doing so. And what we like to pursue is theology and religion in the broadest sense. It's practice, ideas, text, history, role in ethics, politics, film, etc. What unites us is our pursuit of these facets of religion, drawing on a cross-disciplinary framework, but taking seriously the most urgent questions that we face as humanity. And on the one hand, we have students who come here with a personal religious faith, and their studies enrich that perspective. We also have lots of students who have no religious faith at all, or they have a different perspective on life, a different worldview, may also find what they study to enrich their perspective. We do not require our students to believe any particular thing. Absolutely not, of course not. All we ask is that they take the subject seriously and learn to think as best they can as independent critical thinkers. That's what we hope we can achieve in the 3 years we have. If they leave feeling that they have an independent critical perspective on theology and religion, then we've done our job. Careers and employment. The myth, as I mentioned, studying theology and religion is only for people who want to teach religious studies in schools. There are some who do, and we do have some great students who go on to teach, and it's wonderful to see their careers develop in schools and colleges across the country. Or to work in the church. Are you going to be a vicar? That's the classic question. Well, no. Most people don't. And of course, the variety of outcomes, the variety of destinations that our students go on to is quite inspiring. The truth is, a theology and religion degree will open up many, many options. We've got videos on our website and on YouTube, if you look them up, by our students talking about the careers they've chosen to pursue after they've got their degree. Law, city, accountancy, management, politics, human resources, journalism, TV or the media, charities and NGO work, teaching, social work, further study. And the Complete University Guide got joined second nationally for all graduate prospects, and according to the stats for 2020, 89% are in graduate level careers or further study within 15 months of graduation. So this is just to reassure you and to reinforce the idea that what you study here isn't just fascinating and worthwhile in and of itself, which of course we all believe, but also will set you up for a great, exciting life in a variety of different occupations. I had a student not long ago graduate who went on to work for the police to work on the analysis of forensic evidence, which in a way is ideally a destination following on from a theology and religion degree, because it involves ethical sensibilities, close examination of evidence, dealing with people, recognising people have different worldviews, and putting all of that into application within an important public service. So, there we go. We are very proud of the fact that when we are assessed in terms of our reputation across the world, we come out as a 6th in the World University Subject Rankings. Now, of course, if we came 56, we wouldn't mention that. But we're 6th. This is all of the universities in the world for this subject area. And it's a great testament to the colleagues that we have and the importance of their research and their dedication to the subject, and the fact that this is recognised by our peers, that we're able to retain that status, and we're very proud that we're able to do so, and we hope that that also reflects the dedication we all have to our students' education. We have 34 staff. It seems to be going up, John. I can never quite figure out whether I've got that right or not. Around 75 undergraduates each year. We also have a large postgraduate population, and perhaps you'll be joining them in a few years' time. One way of summarising what we do, we take worldview and belief seriously. They're respected and they're analysed, whether they're religious or non-religious. What we're interested in is doing this seriously, respectfully, analytically. I think one of the key challenges of higher education in the 21st century in the UK in particular is striking the right balance between being, especially when it comes to things like religion, being critical but also being respectful. Taking questions of critical analysis seriously, not holding back, but also respecting that other people have different ways of looking at things in the world and that we need to take those worldviews seriously. We hope we'll be helping you to think independently, well-informed, critical citizens with skills for all walks of life. So, these are the degrees that we offer. 3 undergraduate degrees, our BA in Theology and Religion, which is the one that we've had, is sort of a long-standing central pillar of our undergraduate education provision. That gives you the maximum choice. You can take a variety of different modules in that degree. Our modules, we don't have semesters, so you don't do modules half the year, then get assessed, and then do another semester with another module. They run throughout the year, and they're all examined at the end, as well as with essays sometimes as well, with coursework. So you typically do 6 modules, and they would run throughout the year. Now, if you do Theology and Religion BA, then your choice is built on some foundational courses in the first year, which you then get to explore with greater choice in the second and third. But like I say, you have more choice with that degree than the others, so if you are interested in doing biblical studies, but you're also interested in doing sociology of religion, or you're also interested in doing ethics, then you could do all 3. You can explore them all in depth throughout your time in Durham. We also have a BA in Religion, Society and Culture. So this is a degree we set up about 3 or 4 years ago, which focuses on the relationship between religion and social context, and drawing on the social sciences to understand the nature and consequences of religious identities in the modern world. For that, students take a couple of modules in social sciences. They also take courses that focus on religion in the contemporary world. And then we also have a joint honours degree with philosophy. So this is 50-50 philosophy, modules in the philosophy department, and half in the Theology and Religion department. All of our degrees have the option of a year abroad. We've built up over the years a number of very strong relationships with universities across the globe. And each year we have lots of students who are very keen to take a year, it's the 3rd year of their programme, so after the 2nd year, rather than go into a final year, they take a year abroad and then come back for the final year. And we have lots of students who want to pursue that opportunity. And they can do so in a variety of different contexts. It can be competitive because the demand is high, but we're very pleased we can support a good number of students to do that each year. I should also say, almost without exception, the students who do that tend to come back in the final year and perform much, much better than they did before. It has a real positive impact on the level of engagement students are capable of achieving. So this is just to give you a sense of the first year of the degree programme. If you do the philosophy and theology joint honours, then you just take a couple of these modules and then the others are taken in philosophy. If you take the religion, society and culture degree, then the worldview, faith and identity module and Islam observed are core alongside some other modules. And if you're doing theology and religion, then the top 1, 2, 3, 4 modules there are core and compulsory. So worldview, faith and identity, exploring the ways in which perspectives on life are framed and constructed and how they determine what we consider to be true and important. And my colleague Douglas Davies will talk more about what that means in the little mini lecture that he's going to give in a few minutes. Introduction to biblical studies, introduction to the history of Christianity, introduction to Christian theology. In addition, we offer language modules in Hebrew and Greek. Extremely valuable opportunity for those of you who want to, because these are not compulsory, they're optional. But the students who tend to take Hebrew and or Greek and then apply them to their study of the Old or the New Testament tend to get a lot more out of their biblical study. Brings alive the text in a way that transforms their understanding. So if you're really serious about biblical studies, I would strongly encourage you to take one or both of those options at some point and apply them in the modules that you take in the second and third year. We also have modules in ethical issues as well as Islam Observed, which is our module on contemporary Islamic practice across the world and how that reveals something about the Islamic tradition. In addition, you're able to take a module from another department if you choose, and also, if you choose to do so, to pursue a modern language. And this is an important opportunity in Durham where we are very keen for students, if they choose to do so, to develop their language skills, and you can do that at a number of different levels. If you've got A-level French, you can take it further at degree level. If you've never done Russian before, but you'd like to, you can take it at beginner's level. So these are great opportunities for you to expand your skills, and that in turn will enable you to build up a stock of skills that you can apply to great value when you graduate. So applying to Durham, this is my final slide. These are the grade standard offers there for the different degree programs. There are no required A-level subjects. We don't require our students to have taken A-level religious study. We have about 75 places in a year, and we always have a fantastic intake of students of whom we are extremely proud and get a great deal of pleasure teaching. And we hope you'll be among them for the forthcoming academic year. So I'll stop there. Does anyone have any particular questions they want to raise at this point? Yes?
I'm a mature student. I did A-levels in languages previously. I'm going back to do A-levels in sciences, but I'm also doing history. Would it be a disadvantage to be a mature student?
Definitely. No reason at all why you'd be at a disadvantage. In a way, you have an advantage because you have some life experience behind you, and you have the benefit of hindsight and perspective that you might not have if you were coming here as a younger student. So in that sense, you're in a good place. But certainly we've had mature students before, we have them now, and we don't see any problems with that. John, did you want to say anything else?
No, I was just going to take the USB out for Douglas. We just look at what grade you have, what you're predicted to get.
I already have A star, A,
Yeah.
B.
You'll be offered an unconditional place. If you've already met those grade requirements, you'll be given an unconditional offer. Yeah.
So you might as well start now.
Yeah. So those are the conditions at A, B, or A, or the joint one. Don't worry about GCSE results because we all know you're being COVID affected by that. What we want to know is what you're predicted to get, or in your case what you've already got, and we'll make offers on that basis. I'll just take this out. Sorry, you keep asking the question.
Any other questions? Yes.
Is it right to assume that if you're taking a joint offers of theology and philosophy, does that mean that it's limited? It says you can take modules from other departments and language. Is that still the option if you're doing a joint honours?
question.
The joint honours is, no, that's much more restricted actually. You do 3 and 3
Okay.
in your first and your second year. You can still take the language option. I think that is still there, but not an option from another.
Is that being
So
taught by
you're already crossing 2.
Thank you.
Yeah, and in your final year you do a dissertation, like everybody does a dissertation. And on that degree, it's either in philosophy or
Choose that.
in theology. That's right. Yeah. So you don't have that option to do it in history or English. What was this, sorry? Right. I've got a sheet about that, and if you'd like more information about that, I can give that to you afterwards. But basically, a number in Europe, although some of this we need to have some French or German, but some are talking English. North America, Montreal, I think
Australia.
yeah, and some in Australia. McGill, that's right, in McGill, that's the one. And one of my students is going out to New Zealand this summer. Israel, Norway, Belgium, Israel, Czech Republic, Australia, Japan. Alright, I can give you a list of this stuff. I'd say about 6 or 7 of our students each year do this. We very strongly support it. We'll give you, it's competitive to get into. I can't guarantee you apply at the beginning of your second year. You have to make a strong case why you want to go to that particular place. And your first year grades will be taken into account. Let's say, strong if that's something you're interested in, we very much support you through that.
Any other questions at this point? Brilliant. Okay, so I will hand over to my good friend and colleague Douglas Davis, who is going to talk to you about. What are you going to talk about, Douglas?
Well, my taster lecture is looking at one stream of thought. You've already seen it on there, on a first year module, which is on worldview, faith and identity. You can all go away and buy my little textbook, written specially for this module, which is called Worldview Religious Studies, published last year, 2022. We are, in a sense, leading the nation in looking at worldviews within the religious studies setup. Buy it, because I want lots of money coming in. Today is a kind of a just thinking day. My goal with the first years is to get you thinking more than anything else. Not just thinking abstractly, but thinking emotionally as well. Ideas are about emotions as well as concepts, and we're big on that here. It's a kind of a hop, skip and jump day, really. There's a ginkgo tree outside a temple in Japan. Trees. Do you think a tree is bored by living in the same spot for centuries, like that guy? And like those people who are hithering and thithering, travelling the world, forever looking at their phones, forever wanting friends to follow them, it just grows there. Full of life, full of its own kind of awareness, etc. Or that Japanese maple, look at it. Do you think trees look at us as being mad for rushing round all the time? There's life in absolutely everything. Everything is connected. You're going to learn a word for that in a minute, and you will take away from Durham something you didn't come to Durham with. We are only just getting the fact that there's life in everything. And it's basic, because our world is in peril. And unless we accept that ethical, emotional fact that that life is imperiled, we are failing. There are people who help us tremendously in this. Jane Goodall, young and... in my lectures, I often show somebody young and somebody old. It's very important. You're bright young things, full of life and beauty and all stuff, but you'll grow old like me. So it's important to have a sense of etc. Jane Goodall spent much of her life working with chimpanzees, broadened our knowledge enormously. Desmond Morris, not so well known now, but brought animals, zoo time, to the television originally. Or Brian Cox, you're all familiar with him bringing the cosmos to us. These people are important because they embody the concepts. Historical background to this, Charles Darwin. There he is, young, middle-aged and old, and memorialized. Brought, in his own way, evolution to us, and we've never looked back. You know, Darwin suffered for his thought. His wife was a seriously committed Christian. He wasn't. He loved his wife. This kept him for a long time from revealing his hand on evolution. He suffered. He had stomach troubles right the way throughout his life. He suffered skin trouble throughout his life, which probably was psychosomatic. So when you think of theory of evolution, think of the man in whose life this was really powerful and whose relationships caused him, well, bodily pain, really. This is the kind of thing we want to understand in worldviews. Not just concepts flying up in the air, but concepts that flow through our bodies. Embodiment is big. Greta Thunberg, similarly, she symbolized so much. David Attenborough symbolized so much. Embodying the fact that there's life in everything and that that life is imperiled. Alexander von Humboldt, you'll never know him, he wrote a marvelous book on aspects of nature, or views of nature, 1849, 1850. He traveled the world and collected data. It was brilliant stuff. What about William Whewell? You'll never have heard of him. He was an Anglican priest, he was a scholar, he was mastered with Trinity College, Cambridge. He was the guy who gave us the word scientist. And he gave us the term, and this is what you're going to take away from Durham with you today, he gave us the term consilience. Now, in a way, that's what our module on, what's it called? Worldviews, yeah. Worldview, faith and identity. That's what it's about, consilience. Meaning, when two or more separate streams of research merge to make a new whole. We're all going to say it together, friends. What's the word? It's consilience. Again, consilience. And finally, consilience. That's what we're about, basically. Lovelock, who gave us the concept of Gaia, was doing something similar. He died, a very old man, not very long ago. You can go and read away Balcom's marvellous book, What a Fish Knows. The inner lives of our underwater cousins. They've got levels of awareness, cognitive skills. They've got sentience, the capacity to feel, to suffer pain. Parts of Europe, it's unlawful to keep a goldfish on its own in a bowl. Causes it to get depressed. And you can give human antidepressants to fish and they stop being depressed. They're like us. We're like them. Life is everywhere. Or Godfrey Smith's marvellous book on the octopus. I can no longer eat calamari in restaurants. And I'm gut-struck because I love this stuff. But after I read about what those creatures feel, act and do, I just can't eat them anymore. But I still eat beef and I can't understand where the problem is coming. But they also can suffer pain as we do. The octopus is a different kind of embodiment to us. We think we got the brain up there and the rest of us. We're now learning that what goes on in our guts affects what goes on in our brain. These creatures are all over feeling, thinking. It's amazing. This is a challenge to human identity. And human identity is a big thing in the study of religion. Identity. The fact that they look so different from us shouldn't affect the fact. The things that are apparently very different from us we share so many bits of our DNA with each other. Amazing, huh? So we mustn't think of the brain apart from its body. All sorts of things going on there. Notice that lady in the bottom left-hand corner. Or trees, The Hidden Life of Trees, Volobin's book. Tree roots, like brains really. Brain-like structures can be found at root tips. In addition to signaling pathways, there are systems of molecules similar to those found in animals. Now there she is, Susan Simard. What a lass. Engaging in a doctoral work only in 1990, I say only in 1992, for me only is quite recent. For most of you, it's already in history. She was born to a family of lumberjacks in Canada, and they had an outdoor toilet which they had to clean out every now and again, and when they were cleaning it out on one occasion, it dawned on her that roots were quite important. There were roots around the place. Read some of her stuff, Finding the Mother Tree and many other things. Her work is really important. She published a paper in Nature, 1997. Nature is the journal any scientist wants a paper in. When you get to Nature, you've made it. She was still quite young. She showed how trees share nutriment across their root systems. And she talked about the wood wide web. How when you look at a group of trees, they are a community. This is, look, just one. Oh, awful. They live in communities normally. Leaf tissue may send out electrical signals, just as human tissue does when it is hurt. A group of trees can, if they start to be eaten by elephants up here, they send out messages. Cross wind can be picked up by trees down there, which change their own chemical constituency, because the elephants are on the way. Amazing. Things are connected. There's life everywhere. She wrote a postscript for Voliband's book. I discovered, she said, that the vast below-ground network was a bustling community of fungal species. You'll say, why on earth are you studying this in theology and religion? How can you not study it in theology and religion? If you think about doctrines of creation or the Spirit as the Lord and giver of life, if you're into those sort of doctrinal things, how is the Holy Spirit related to fungus? You've never been asked that question before. You've never even thought of it as a question before. But you have now. These fungi are mutualistic, connect trees with soil in a market exchange of carbon and nutrients. A busy cooperative internet. I could see, she said, using mass spectrometers and scintillation counters, carbon being transmitted back and forth between the trees, like neurotransmitters firing in our own neural lecture. I was giving an invited lecture at the National Memorial Arboretum, which is a big thing down here, literally. And I was giving a lecture a bit like this to the friends of the Arboretum. And I quoted that, and I said, I'm sorry, but I don't know what scintillation counters are. And afterwards, a gentleman came up to me and he said, well, I've spent all my working life working in the nuclear industry, he said. And that's a way of just counting that sort of atomic stuff going on. So I learned a lot that day from him. The trees were communicating through their web. Or Merlin Sheldrake's stuff on fungi. Very good. So I draw myself to a close, really. That rather rushed stuff. I'm in the process of sort of, I love gardening, and sort of starting growing bonsai trees, where you put big trees into little pots. I was once in a Buddhist temple, I think it was in Japan, and there was a wall, about as long, longer than this, and beautiful pots all the way down, with bonsai trees in it, this big, 300-400 years old, which of course you can do if you've got monks living in the place to be able to water them every day. You can't elsewhere. What on earth has bonsai got to do with Buddhism? Or whatever. Interesting question. But what about the ethical question? Is it right? Is it cruel? Is bonsai cruel? Growing them separately on their own. Interesting question. That's really what I wanted to talk to you about today, just as an no less and more like, shall we? Just as an abbreviation of one of the lectures that we do in the first year, where we look, what I try to do is to look at the world. We only deal in big questions in this department, but sometimes we've got to do them in detailed ways, looking at the whole world to say, what kinds of worldviews are there? the natural worldview, this comes from. There are scientific ones, ancestral worldviews. So many religions are rooted in ancestry in one shape or form, or karmic world, karma, those cause and effect of chickens coming home to roost, things that come around, go around, come around, come around, go around, all that sort of things on an ethical base. The prophetic sectarian worldview, prophets, sects, we look at those. The mystical worldview, how that interior meditative thing, as it were, has a part to play in many religious traditions actually, but we stop and we think about those. Or ideological worldviews that have got, in one sense, nothing to do with what we normally think of as religion, but with meaning-making ways of thinking and behaving. We look at those. And then last we look at, and perhaps a new word for some of you, we look at ludic worldviews. Ludo, the Latin word, I play. There's a whole thing in the study of religion now about looking at stuff as play. So if you're a researcher, if you're a sociological researcher, what are you doing? Well, I spent half my life studying Mormonism, or more than half actually. What happens when you go and you're with people and you're doing, what are you doing then? Well, some of the guys in Holland say you're playing a game. What's interesting about, I've been a keen squash player much of my life, a little bit now, and what happens when you play a game? You go on court, and all of a sudden you're in a new world, you've got to play by those rules. And I wish more of our politicians played by the rules, because fair play is important. You play by the rules, but you know that you're playing by the rules. I'm also me, but I'm playing by the rules. I'm taking part in something. I'm playing, but I'm thinking about playing. So all those kind of things. So I hope, of course, because I'm biased, as my dear colleagues are also, that you will decide to come to Durham, where we've got a whole host of colleagues who do all sorts of stuff, and we all enjoy it. And our first year class in this module is this year is 101 people. So, but then you've got the seminars in smaller groups to make you read and think and engage. But what I've tried to do today is quite simple, is to say hop, skipping and jumping thinking is to help you think on your own. It's very difficult, friends, to think on your own. Families, schools, churches, other organisations want to teach you to think in their way. We want to help you to think in your way. And that can be exciting and painful, but it's worth the venture. Thank you very much. Just signing out, John. Here we are. Sign out. There we are.
Does anybody have questions for Douglas?
Yeah.
You'd like to know more about?
Questions or points or anything really.
I'm just going to get the other thing up.
Who's learned something in the last half an hour? Right. Who has not learned anything in the last half an hour?
Who can remember the word that you took?
Yeah, what was that word? Consilience. Brilliant.
Excellent. I'm just going to get Taya's Taya, come up here and tell us about yourself while I get your PowerPoint up.
Okay, hello. I am a current third-year student here at Durham. I do theology and religion. My name is Thea. I'm from Germany, and yeah, I'm just going to talk about for a few minutes what it's actually like to be a student here, especially in the theology department. And
hold on. There you go. Take it away. Just forward and back.
okay, yeah. So I'm also at Treffs, and you can talk to me later about how to choose a college and what you might consider for that. I'm interested, so I really like languages. I've done Greek and Hebrew here. And I also I'm interested in the intersection between psychology and theology, and I've written my dissertation on trauma theology. Okay, so I think you heard about that probably earlier a bit, and this might be extremely small, whatever. Basically, course structure, every year you've got 6 modules, apart from the last one where you've got 2 for your dissertation, and in your first year you have 4 compulsory modules, and then the last 2 modules you can choose, which is really nice because you can then either choose a language, which I would highly recommend, or you can also go and choose a module from a different department. And I know some people might be concerned about wow, we've got 4 compulsory modules and some of them might not sound very like what you would choose from the beginning, but I can definitely say, having done all of these for all of the modules, and then 2nd year, 3rd year, they give you a really good foundation for then 2nd and 3rd year, so you might discover areas you wouldn't even have considered, or you could discover new things, and if you don't like things, you don't have to choose them in 2nd and 3rd year. And contact hours, we've got roughly 1 lecture per module, and then an additional seminar every other week, so that's roughly 9 to 12 hours per week. I know that doesn't sound like that much, but you will have a lot of, the rest of the time you'll have to research your essays and start planning them, prepare for your seminars. So there's quite a lot of room for time management, or your own, you can just manage your time individually, and then you can also think about what societies you want to join, or whether you want to do any sports. We learn through lectures, seminars, and other classes, and what's really nice about Durham is that it's quite small, so you basically will know your cohort quite quickly, and that makes it less scary to talk in seminars, because you will know most of the people, and it's normally quite a nice environment to be in as well. Okay, quick overview of the modules I have taken. You can probably not read that, I need to make that bigger. Basically, I'm just going to read it quick. That's just what I've done. You can do completely different modules. So, for example, I have a friend who I've basically not seen since 1st year in any modules, because she's just always taking the opposite modules than I have taken, so it's very individual. I've been I really enjoyed doing Greek and New Testament theology, but I've also done ethics, so in my 2nd year I did science and theology, teaching here is amazing. All the professors and lecturers are also passionate about their subject, as you could tell with Douglas earlier, very engaged. And for example, I did in science and theology, David Wilkinson also brought other people in to our lectures, and they gave guest talks, which was very interesting. And I did a module on philosophy, which was atheism, belief, and the edge of reason. And you can also do you can do modules in Islam or Judaism. I think there are 2. And then in my 3rd year you do your dissertation, and 4 other modules. I thought I'd put up a few example essay questions. So I always thought, what do these questions actually look like? Are you able to read them? Or should I, okay. So I'll leave them up a bit. But candidates should range from, is Iris Murdoch an atheist, or New Testament things, to, on here about extraterrestrial life. So it's very broad and very interesting. I remember telling my friends, I'm currently working on an essay about aliens, and everyone looked at me as if I was crazy. But very interesting stuff. So assessment, just quickly, we've got essays and exams. First year is just formative, and then summative essays will count towards your grade. And usually first term is not chill, but it's you don't have that many summative essays, but they will add up in 2nd term. So I'm warning you for 2nd term if you come here. It is very intense, and we should probably look at the essay questions in first term to prepare. Yeah, and then we've got exams every year, and in terms of choosing modules, I would aim for a good combination between just essay-based modules and exam-based modules, because if you just choose essay-based modules, you will write a lot of essays, trust me. Okay, why Durham? I chose Durham for the college system, first and foremost, like also theology, but I really like the college system. It makes life very, well, we had COVID, but that was a different situation. So, you get to make a lot of friends. You basically have your small family within the university from the start, and then you can make friends on your course as well. And the reputation of the department is amazing. So I just, before I came here, we wrote an essay, and as I said earlier, I don't know whether anyone was here, basically, I wrote an essay about the German Reformation, and thought, oh, I know that, I'm from Germany, we had it in school, and then before the Zoom meeting, I googled my academic advisor, and turns out he is the world-leading expert on the German Reformation. So I was terrified, and everyone is extremely nice, and you don't have to be scared to have like conversations with professors, because in my experience they're all very nice. Then lovely community. The Bill Bryson Library, or also called Billy B, has an amazing range of like theology books. Can definitely recommend. You can choose loads of modules. It's a good mix of campus and inner city, and it's a small department. And we've also brought back the Theology Society for this year, so it's really nice outside of the like normal cool stuff. We are running like talks, and we also have like a mentoring scheme. So basically like a college family, but just for your subject. So you have someone from the start to ask questions if you're getting lost. And one last piece of advice is just to, if you don't know what to choose for a degree, just go for something that interests you, that you're actually really passionate about, because it can get quite stressful at times, especially during essay summative season and exam season, and if you then also hate your subject, it's really hard to get through that. So wonderful. Thank you very much.